Bougainville urged to be referendum ready. Military police upskilled on public order management. And Australian scientists say quake was natural.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Friday's news. With just under 12 months to go before Bougainville conducts a referendum on its political future, the task of ensuring its population is informed about this important exercise has been placed on its elected representatives. All 33 constituencies have been tasked to ensure that they are declared referendum ready by December the 31st this year. For the Tonsu constituency, the decision to declare if it is referendum ready has been left with its 13 wards in a move to ensure its people take ownership of this important exercise.
For the Tonsu constituency in North Bougainville, preparations for the upcoming referendum have begun. Member for Tonsu, Ezekiel Masat, spoke to MTV News about how his constituency is approaching referendum awareness. Tonsu has embarked on awareness at the ward level, with programs already being carried out in 9 of its 13 wards.
Members have come to realize the mammoth task that is in front of them. Tonsu, what we've done is, there are 13 wards, and we've decided that if the people are going to own the process of preparations for referendum, then we must bring the message to them. And therefore, in the case of Tonsu, all this awareness are being done in each ward.
According to Mr. Masat, given that there are still some outstanding issues regarding the referendum, the awareness exercise will be a continuous exercise for the people of Tonsu.
It's not just going to be one awareness, as you might have heard today, that there are some decisions that the two governments haven't done. Decisions like critical decisions like the questions that must be put. So once JSB has decided, made those decisions, then we'll go back and do another round of awareness. So that's the way things are done at the moment.
Mr. Masat is fortunate enough to have been part of the drafting of the Bougainville Peace Agreement and related constitutional amendments to allow for the establishment of the ABG. Whilst he says the referendum exercise is being embraced by Bougainvillians, it is also important that both the national government and the ABG work in cooperation to ensure that there is continued dialogue from now until the referendum and after the referendum results are announced.
Today, my appeal is for leaders on both sides to find that spirit of cooperation that existed, which led up to the Bougainville Peace Agreement.
The referendum process will be one that will need to be negotiated well. This is according to Autonomous Bougainville Government President Chief John Momis. Speaking to MTV News, President Momis has reiterated the need for the national government and the ABG to work together to iron outstanding issues prior to the vote, as well as commit to negotiations post-referendum result.
Bougainville President Chief John Momis spoke to MTV News following the recently concluded National Conference on Referendum. According to President Momis, the conference had brought to light issues that needed to be addressed by both governments working in cooperation.
That leadership must now have the courage and the strength to implement, to be guided by the discussions, because we must listen also to the small people, both from the national government side and from Bougainville, because both governments must be imbued with the real aspirations of people to make good, legitimate, morally upright decisions, to make important decisions that should solve the Bougainville crisis once and for all.
Being one of the founders of PNG's constitution, President Momis called for the laws to be respected. The Bougainville Peace Agreement is the foundation of the ABG, and according to President Momis, the BPA is an agreement that must be adhered to, as it was a joint creation by both the PNG government and Bougainvillians.
When the Constitutional Planning Committee presented its report to Parliament in 1975, and Parliament rejected Chapter 10, which was precisely on the system of provincial governments, I resigned from Parliament. 1975, and went to the United Nations. And, right now, we believe firmly that the peace agreement must be jointly implemented to address the issue on Bougainville. And, and the peace agreement requires a joint implementation of the peace agreement.
With a referendum target date set for June 15th, 2019, President Momes has also reminded both the national government and the ABG that whatever the outcome of the referendum, negotiations must continue post-referendum result.
What's important is the preparation. We must prepare well and have enough funding and support to create a conducive environment to prepare the people of Bougainville and PNG to be ready for this tough negotiation, which will occur after the referendum.
8 women in the military police are among 60 of the male counterparts who have completed a week-long training on public order management. Director of PNGDF Military Police, Lieutenant Colonel Ivan Timo, says the training prepares military police personnel to assist the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary in responding to unrests or protests. This is if it does occur during the 2018 APEC Leaders Summit in November.
The completion of this training is an achievement for the PNG Defence Force Military Police. This is the first time in years for the unit to undergo such specialized training.
On public order management, when our troops were deployed to Oniara for MC duties, and as a part of the pre-deployment training, they have done a little bit of crowd control. But this is something that has been conducted, which involved all the military police personnel that are supposed to be taking part in the APEC.
The 60 personnel who underwent the training were presented their certificates today. Corporal Winston Wilfred, a participant, says the training gives him an opportunity to represent PNGDF in that capability.
It is a new training for me. In the military, we've never gone through those kind of training. And as an MP, as an MP military police personnel, it is also one of our duties to do crowd control and all those. So I have learned a lot on how to go about and interact with violent crowds and all those in controlling the crowd's behavior and the protesters.
The Public Order Management course trains members of the 3 disciplinary forces techniques to control crowd during unexpected unrests in a public area. Though unrests were not experienced during the hosting of previous APEC Leaders Summit, the training prepares soldiers to respond to such rare cases.
Scenarios where we have crowd who might, want to protest about certain issues and disrupt the APEC that is going on. We are now upskilling our manpower in the military police to deal with this, because it is the military police that can cooperate or operate in conjunction with the civil police to try to restore order when there's a public outburst or something like that.
Come November, there will be at least 260 members of the 3 disciplinary forces who will undergo this training. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
A much-anticipated meeting between the Lai City Lord Mayor, the Lai MP and unpaid contractors convened yesterday, with the media drawing the ire of the Lord Mayor over their coverage of City Council affairs. EMTV was singled out for its ongoing coverage. However, the contractors got answers for the long-standing queries over unpaid bills.
After months of public debate, both the Lai MP John Rosso and Lord Mayor Koim Trilulei met with contractors yesterday.
72 internal revenue grant. Now you like money na money.
Both men have been at loggerheads with each other, the Lord Mayor obtaining a court order to stop the partial implementation of audit recommendations, and the Lai MP still pushing forward to rehabilitate the market and collect revenue.
Mila appeal the Lord Mayor. Lai is our home. You may try and put yourself also in a yupla, allowing me, lo halbim yupla, lo fixing problem blue yupla, when big pla too much.
And work administration or sit down, lies one to yupla, look lo paperwork yupla, through yupla genuine contractor.
Both men aired their grievances to each other at a news conference yesterday. The Lord Mayor also taking a swipe at EMTV for its recent coverage of the Lai City Council affairs.
All media, you media, you must also report there. Please, working good to report people. People are making a people someplace, a pen or report them around stuff here.
John Rosso's statements pointed to the discrepancies of the council, pointing out that things needed to be fixed and all the claims scrutinized before payments are made.
This whole budget before come here, you plan on payment because a lot of the payments have been fraudulently paid.
The Lord Mayor telling contractors the board of the Lai City Authority still had to be approved.
What's the genuine document that says that's the place? It's in a act of parliament. All straight him stuff. Time all straight him. And there's a time where me and over take over me sign him. And now MS to place.
For contractors, this rather heated meeting has paved way for discussions and hopefully outstanding payments can be made later. Over the past 4 weeks, 4 people have been arrested for fraud. New revenues have been collected from the market and banked, and generally progress is being made for the better. But the new city management says there's still lots to be done. Scott Whitey, National MTV News, Lai.
Here with Friday's news, we'll have more of the day's stories after these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to Friday's news. Scientists say the cause of the recent 7.5 magnitude earthquake in the highlands of Papua New Guinea was natural. The Department of Geoscience Australia released a report to the PNG government clarifying that rumours of it being man-made were not true. Geoscience Australia is currently working with the PNG Disaster Centre to build its capacity and resilience.
According to a report produced by the Geoscience Australia, the size and the intensity of the 7.5 magnitude earthquake were consistent with the natural movement of tectonic plates that meet in the central highlands of Papua New Guinea, where Hela province is located. The Earth's crust is made up of tectonic plates. It is like large pieces of puzzle formed over millions of years. They are constantly moving, sometimes by just millimeters. Any bigger movement results in the earthquakes we feel. Geoscience Australia, which conducted the study, stated that the earthquake started at a depth of at least 17 kilometers, which is not consistent with earthquakes triggered through mining activities, which generally occur at depths less than 5 kilometers. The recent earthquake in Hela and Southern Highlands province has a death toll of over 80 people killed and hundreds injured. More properties were damaged and some covered under landslips. Geoscience Australia stated that the magnitude of the earthquake is firm with what would be expected in this region based on the local tectonic plates. The department and the Australian government are working closely with PNG Observatory Centre to monitor earthquake in PNG, as well as updating the standard PNG building codes which can stand such earthquakes. PNG has a volcano observatory centre in East New Britain province. Geoscience Australia will build another at Bagana in Bougainville. Vasinata Yama, National MTV News, Mount Hagen.
Edai Town Development just outside of Port Moresby will run an open house session for walk-in inspection of its second phase homes tomorrow. 161 units have been occupied from phase 1. The compound currently has 900 families residing in the area. Director Kim Yong says once phase 2 is complete, individuals will be able to select from 4 different types of homes, from entry-level homes to duplexes, high-end standalones and cottage homes. Around 2,000 families are expected to house the developments by early 2019.
Our phase 2 houses that are currently under construction, some of them are already ready and a lot of them have been purchased. So we are launching another block of our phase 2 units so they can come and have a first-hand look at the place, what Edai Town is all about, as well as go and make inquiries with the banks for home loans, and there will be a lawyer in attendance to answer questions. So any home buyer, this is a good opportunity just to come and check out the place.
Oil Search Foundation funded and hosted a 4-day partnership brokering training this week. The training combined skills training and professional development for partnership process management. This is the first time this sort of training has been conducted in country.
With a desire to enhance partnership building and strengthen relationships that deliver outcomes for the Oil Search Foundation and its partners, the foundation hosted a 4-day training. It was facilitated by authorized practitioner trainers from the Partnership Brokers Association.
And they're helping us to think about how you really workshop common goals and interests, how you deal with conflict, how you deal with different just interests that may be aligned or may not be aligned, but then to align those to a common goal, and then how you monitor that and deepen the partnership to deliver the goal and then report against that. And so we're hoping that that's going to help us in our specific projects, but also work with our partners.
There were over 20 participants from over 6 partnering organizations attending this training. Participants found it very informative, saying it enhanced their understanding of partnership process management. Many were introduced to skills, concepts, and good practice to partnership development that achieves results.
Ideas, and those ideas must interact with different other partners, and you see some kind of a positive approach or positive outcome. And I'm very grateful to be here because it's given me a lot of insight of how best I can be able to use this as a tool to be able to connect various organizations in various partnership approaches.
This training is the first of its kind in Papua New Guinea. The successful completion of the course will give the participants an opportunity to be recognized as a professional partnership broker. Lilian Soperakinea, National EMTV News.
Commodore Steve Woodall of the Australian Defence Force says the safety and security of Pacific maritime programs in the region continues for the protection of the region's sea and airspace. While it has been guarded for 30 years by the Australian Defence Force primarily, Commodore Woodall says more developments will be implemented due to increasing illegal activities, including transnational crimes.
The Pacific Maritime Program in the region has been on for 3 decades under the protection of Australia. Commodore Steve Woodall of the Australian Defence Force says there are 3 components related to Pacific Maritime Security Program, first of which is the replacement boats known as the Guardian-class patrol boats. PNG will receive the first class, which are more capable, has greater endurance, and with much more sea-keeping capabilities.
In the maritime space, clearly focused around the arrival of the first of the Guardian-class patrol boats in December of this year. That is really a fundamental change. These assets are more capable than the current Pacific patrol boats, longer range, greater endurance, much more effective sea-keeping ability, and will provide the opportunity for mixed-gender crewing at sea. These vessels are designed for both men and women to live and operate on board, and we're very pleased to work with the PNG Defence Force to try and allow that to happen going forward.
Commodore Woodall says the second component of Pacific Maritime Security Program is the surveillance and fixed-wing aerial surveillance. In regards to the aerial component, the Australian Defence Force signed a contract with a company called Technology Service Corporation to provide aerial surveillance in the Pacific.
At the moment, we're in the introductory phase. We're doing some assessments on airfields, and we're doing some trials with a Cessna aircraft they have. By the end of this year, we will have 2 King Air aircraft, much longer range, with a purpose-built sensor suite that has a maritime radar. It has the ability to take both still and video footage that can be used in a court of law, and it has sensors on it like AIS for detecting ships, the vessel management system that the FFA use for identifying fishing vessels. So a really much more sophisticated surveillance capability than we've ever had before.
Still in development stages, in 2019, 2 available aircrafts will provide up to 1,400 hours of aerial surveillance per year, with 1 aircraft available 365 days a year on standby for aerial emergencies. Commodore Woodall says while Pacific Maritime Security Program is the only available program in the region, more developments will be implemented due to the increasing illegal activities and transnational crimes in the Pacific.
At the moment, by example, the military, the Australian Defence Force through our Royal Australian Air Force provide around 300 hours of surveillance to the Pacific region a year. So a significant increase on what we currently do. The operational control of those aircraft will be given to the Foreign Fisheries Agency because it has the Regional Fisheries Surveillance Centre, and so countries will be able to bid for aerial surveillance, ideally in conjunction with patrol boat operations, so you've now got a much more efficient method of doing surveillance. You've got aircraft with a patrol boat able to respond if they detect activity that might be suspicious.
Godwin Eki, National MTV News.
The National Planning Ministry has given 2 million kina to Enga College of Nursing to address the critical shortage of nurses in the country. Another 3 million kina has been promised to be paid later on. National Planning Minister Richard Marrow attended the second graduation of the Nursing College this week and handed over the funding.
Planning Minister Richard Marrow told Enga Provincial Government and graduates of Enga College of Nursing that the health indicators in the country are among the poorest in the Pacific. Minister Marrow said the country is short by 2,400 nursing officers. He challenged the health department to make positions available for the new graduates to fill.
I see so many graduates going around and looking for jobs. That is not acceptable. We are so short of nurses. Government has provided the positions. Health department must make it right through the Nursing Council, and I want to see all these graduates living here and getting straight into jobs. We need them in the field.
Nurses around the country are also being urged to stop chewing betel nut and smoking and take their job seriously. The funding will go towards building a new science lab and get proper lab equipment. The Ministry of National Planning will also look into the nursing college's staff housing issue and address it.
So I'm very happy to announce today our government will make available another 5 million for the labs and the clinical building in this School of Nursing.
Enga College of Nursing has graduated 34 new nurses in Diploma in General Nursing. Come 2019, Pacific Adventist University will offer degree programs for Enga College of Nursing. Vasinata Yama, National MTV News, Mount Hagen.
Staff of the National Agriculture Quarantine and Inspection Authority, NAQIA, closed office today out of respect to accept the body of the late Dr. Gibasa Asiba. Dr. Asiba was with his team in Nuku District of Sundown Province investigating reported cases of suspicious deaths of domesticated and wild animals when he passed away. His body arrived at 2 p.m. this afternoon at Jackson's Airport from a NAQIA chartered flight. Grieving NAQIA staff were there to greet him. He is remembered by his fellow colleagues as a great veterinarian who championed his profession in the country and also in the international arena. He was the PNG Veterinary Surgeons Association President, Chief Meat Inspector, Chief Animal Brands Officer, Chief Vet Officer and YE Delegate. This is National MTV News. We'll have more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, today is World Oceans Day. It is a call to action to clean up some of our most incredible resources and especially to save the oceans from plastic. One focus is Australia's Great Barrier Reef, where advocates are working to ban single-use plastics such as straws. Another danger, climate change. This is home to the world's largest coral reefs. It has already experienced extensive damage because of massive coral bleaching.
In aquamarine waters off the coast of Australia, there's a world so fantastic that words cannot do it justice. A sprawling marine habitat of coral reefs that's larger than Italy.
I'm at the Great Barrier Reef. It's one of the natural wonders of the world, and it's in trouble.
This is the beginning of a planetary catastrophe.
Charlie Varon is the world's leading authority on the Great Barrier Reef. In a career spanning nearly half a century, he's discovered a quarter of the world's coral. Do you still remember the first time you came out and saw some of this?
I'll never forget the first time I did it. It made an immense impression on me. I was absolutely, my life started.
The 73-year-old godfather of coral gives me a guided tour. With a few short strokes, we dive into a vibrant underwater universe, a place where living coral, some of it centuries old, provides shelter and food for countless species of marine life. But then Varen takes me to a nearby patch where the coral is dead as far as the eye can see. These coral forests cooked to death by record marine heat waves in 2016 and 2017.
It's about half of all the corals of the Great Barrier Reef killed off.
In just 2 years?
In just 2 years.
Australia is now in a race to save what's left of the reef.
That's a sea turtle down there. Oh my God.
In April, the government pledged around $400 million to come up with ways to protect it.
All our pilot studies are suggesting that it's all possible to help the reef help itself.
Dr. Lena Bay is one of the scientists at a government research center trying to genetically engineer heat-resistant coral. This is an example of plating coral from the Great Barrier Reef, but born and bred here in the laboratory 4 years ago, and you can see how much it's grown in that time. Scientists are also experimenting with a kind of IVF treatment to boost reproduction in the wild. In this lab, they test what they call a sun shield. Thinner than a human hair, it could theoretically protect coral from the sun. This inventor demonstrates a submersible drone called the Ranger Bot.
And when we press start, the mission, it's all by itself.
Guided by artificial intelligence, it's designed to one day patrol the reef and protect the coral from predators. So far, these are just pilot projects that could get funding from the government's new reef protection program.
There are still options available to us if we start looking at it now. We just can't wait 20 years and then start thinking about this.
Can $400 million save this reef?
No.
Why not?
Because the water is warming.
Research shows record heat is killing coral at an increasingly frequent rate all across the planet. Australia alone cannot stop global warming caused by the burning of fossil fuels. Scientists here warn unless that changes, this incredible reef stands little chance of surviving.
Tensions are high in Quebec, Canada, as world leaders prepare for the G7 meeting. US President Donald Trump has tweeted that Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and French President Emmanuel Macron are charging the US massive tariffs and creating non-monetary barriers that he looks forward to seeing them soon. Meanwhile, anti-G7 protesters are already marching in Quebec.
So as the G7 summit kicks off here in Canada, so do the G7 protests. There's quite an eclectic group collected here. Everything from communists to those combating gender inequality, and even those wanting peace in the Middle East. This province here, Quebec, has had quite a prolific and in fact violent history of protests. The security forces number in the tens of thousands, hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on security. But what's different about this summit is that actually the protest groups have been so far quite predictable. What will not be predictable is what happens around that summit table. We are not even assured that they will be able to agree on a communique. And the irony here is that the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, had tried to set up a G7 meeting where a lot of the grievances of these protesters, things like climate change and income inequality, would actually be on the G7 agenda. But at this moment, we are still expecting that the issues surrounding trade will, in fact, take over this summit.
U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has made it known that many times he respects almost everything about the American president, and apparently that includes Donald Trump's bottle ballet.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present synchronized water bottle stashing.
First, the president ditched his, then the vice president followed suit. In no time, the internet bottled and preserved the moment.
It's a plan for the whole community. It's a plan that I'd like.
It happened at a FEMA briefing on hurricane season. It was at the Response Coordination Center, noted one eagle eye. And boy, were these two coordinating their response. As one Twitter user reminisced, didn't you ever play that game as a kid where you mirror everything your sibling or friend does until they wallop you? The one who got walloped here was Vice President Pence by Jimmy Kimmel.
It's like Trumpy see, Trumpy do. He's for sure a Westworld robot, right?
The VP has perfected the adoring gaze and has been known to pick up on the president's gestures. Get the point? The point of getting rid of the water bottles was probably to make for a neater photo op. Now you see the bottle, now you don't. It seems like the president's relationship with water runs hot and cold. His watery antics are always going viral, from his dainty swig to his two-handed sip. And then there's the president's odd habit of moving things, anything, a few inches here, a few inches there, but this time out of sight, complete with the sight of Vice President Pence mimicking the move. Flunky see, flunky do was someone's mean take on the moment. A more charitable one? Who the heck is under the table that was so thirsty? One guess, little Marco Rubio.
And we'll let you get a bottle of water. Trukai Sports is up next. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Sir Hubert Murray Stadium is set to be completed before the APEC Leaders Summit in November. The stadium had an outstanding of about 40 million kina, but after the sale of CPAC worth 35 million, the shortage of 5 million kina will be met by BSP Finance, and so there is confidence the stadium will be built.
The construction of the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium was a private-public partnership with Ketton Brothers, but NCDC took over the incomplete stadium and the contract with Ketton Brothers. The completion of the facility will see the fully fitted Western Grandstand, car parking and fencing. Once the stadium is complete, it will be the biggest stadium in Papua New Guinea and in the region, with a seating capacity of 20,000. NCD Governor Powers Pakop says the stadium will be ready before November and will be a multi-purpose field which will be used for football, rugby league and rugby union.
We are going to have the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium completed hopefully in time before the APEC Leader Summit. That will be in November. And when that stadium is open, it's open to you all in PNG FA and also our local Premier Association to come and use it. I want to see more local competition of high standard, also regional competition. I want us to invite more regional teams to come and international competition to come as well. We have shown that we can host it. We've hosted World Cup Rugby League. We have also hosted FIFA, 15 countries from around the world. So we can host regional game and international games as well. So I leave this to you all at the national level and also in our own association here in the city.
There have been many setbacks in the completion of the stadium since 2015. After 3 years, the stadium is slowly taking shape and will be open to the public for international, regional and local sporting competitions. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Schools Football Association looks to be on a path of positive growth as it seeks to develop young football talent in the country. In one of its latest developments, National Capital District Governor Powers Pakop made a commitment of 50,000 kina to help the association with some of its financial burdens.
Since the reintroduction of school soccer after some odd years, a lot of positive changes happened that propelled their development aspirations to new heights within the football circle. Those changes attracted support from various organizations, with the latest one being the governor of NCD, pledging a whopping 50,000 kina support.
I'm happy to make that announcement too, because the junior competition are the pathway. When we start them early, they'll be outstanding champions, and then my dream can come true, because one day I will see, somebody better than Mo Salah from Papua New Guinea leading Liverpool FC. That's what I would like to see. Before I die, I like to see them.
Keen to see young footballers excel on the international scene and participate in overseas tournaments, the governor even offers to spare his extra time to participate in the normal kickabout with the kids.
I want to play a role in getting young people, even going there to play with them or run with them might inspire them. So that's the best I can do as patron. You can count on me. One time I'll come and run with the kids.
Schools Football Vice President Wesley Waiwai said they were looking for key partners to come in and help develop the program and its activities, and is grateful for the support.
The support from the governor from our city is very, very important for us. And that it is a big boost. We need the funds to pay for things like facilities, all the activities, the academy programs, the extracurricular activities we do.
Waiwai said through this development pathway, the players will be able to harness their skills further and gain experience from high-level competitions.
If the governor is committed to it, every parent, so we're all about partnering with the schools, the parents, so we can give an opportunity for the children.
He says so far the management running the school's competition has been doing a great job and promises some exciting times ahead.
The only thing I'd like to say is I want to encourage more parents to get involved with their children on match days. They come and come to the match fields and watch the children play and support them. So they balance their studies, their education and football. So they need all the support.
Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
The Lai Game Fishing Club donated 30 cartons of fish to the Angao Hospital, Bougainville Prison and the Salvation Army today. The fish donated was caught during the National Game Fishing Championships in March. President Graham Gangloff said it's a tradition for game fishing clubs around the country after every National Game Fishing Championship.
The 30 cartons of fish were delivered to the Angao Hospital this morning and divided amongst the hospital, Bougainville Prison and the Salvation Army. This is to assist these organizations with meals for patients and inmates.
The titles was very successful. We caught a lot of fish, a lot of marlin that we caught. So all this fish here has been cut up, and obviously with the generous support of Lynx Freezer, which we're very grateful.
The fish were caught over 9 days in this year's National Game Fishing titles held in Lai in March. They were frozen, cut and stored by the Lynx Freezer until recipients were chosen. Today they were delivered packed in 20-kilo boxes.
I think they should help very much for the patients to help them, in the diet when they take on the medications.
According to Lai Game Fishing President Graham Gangloff, it is a common practice that the hosting game fishing club donates the catch to organizations they choose.
But it's basically the committee we decided what we wanted to do. So these are the 3 that we've identified with.
There are 100 more cartons of fish they will be supplying to these 3 organizations over the coming weeks. So
between the 3 services that we're helping, we get their contact details. They let us know as and when they need the fish, and Lynx will deliver it to them.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lai.
Trukai Sports continues with more after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Tauranga Army Barracks here in Port Moresby will play host to a number of volleyball, netball and basketball competitions during this Queen's Birthday long weekend. The first of its kind, this initiative is inclusive of wives of military personnel from all 3 arms of the disciplinary forces, that is the Defence, Police and Correctional Services.
The Tauranga Barracks courts today was buzzing with excitement as today marks the beginning of the 4-day tournament. And well-dressed in blue were the police wives, maroon were the CS, and in green were of course the army wives. Present as well to witness the opening was Secretary for Community Development, Anna Solomon. The aim of this community sports initiative is to encourage togetherness and participation among these military wives. And with the annual Tarama Sports taking a break this year, what better way to bring back the spirit than to invite their fellow sisters from other barracks around Port Moresby to join them in these friendly games.
I just came up with this initiative. I said, okay, I think, it's a good idea keeping all my mothers back here because I'm in charge of, I'm the chair lady of the sports, Women in Sports at Tarama Barracks. Then I said, okay, I asked my mothers, I think we should have a friendly game between the police wives and the CIS wives. So they all agree and I said, okay, I'll do a letter. So we decided to invite them and they all accept our invitation. They were all very happy because it's first of its kind and they were all so excited. And my mothers, we were so excited.
For a tournament that is hosted for the first time, the interest, participation and turnout looks promising at this stage.
I think for us, the Tarama mothers, we probably have more than 100 mothers taking part now. And I believe the Police College and the CIS as well, because the number I see, they have more than hundreds on each because we have we have 4 teams of each games here. So we have, I will say Tarama, we have 4 teams of volleyball, 4 teams of netball, and 4 teams of basketball. Same as our sisters from the Police College and CIS. So looking at it, it's probably roughly 300 mothers together here. Most of them are working. By tomorrow, we expect a lot of mothers to be here.
Chairlady Garasa is now encouraging wives of military personnel from other barracks in other centres to take up this initiative and involve themselves in activities like these.
I really encourage our mothers, especially the soldiers' wives from Oim Barracks. We have Lady and we also have Lomgrom, yes. I think this is a very good initiative. They should come out as a soldier's wife and have a good relationship with our sisters from the police college, the police and the CIS.
Meanwhile, a basketball match between CS and Taurama was the curtain raiser of the tournament, with the rest of the competition to continue in the coming days. The finals will be played on Monday. Vinero Striko, National EMTV Sports.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for a break. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Quick look at the weather, and in the southern region, Port Moresby mostly fine and windy for Daru, mostly fine as well for Kerma and Alatau, mostly fine for Popondetta.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
That's the news, sport and weather for today, Friday the 8th of June 2018. On behalf of the entire EMTV news team right around the country, pleasant viewing. Have a safe long weekend. Good night.